We're here now for our podcast with Isaac and See You.
This is R.N.R episode 4, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
R.N.R podcast.
Research not required.
You forgot to mention the mysterious man.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
was that?
Oh,
Who was
yeah.
That was
Who's
good,
that
by the way.
phenomenal singer just now.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
bro. Let's not dick right, but
Yo, bro,
say
come
this
on,
nigga's
bro.
name.
Nigga, complimenting another nigga is not.
I
dick
did
riding,
it, but
bro.
like I'm just saying, bro.
Yeah,
But
well,
go
I
ahead,
didn't,
bro.
Can I
Hey,
do it on the
Hey,
the
we
podcast?
not we not gonna cut this out, so it comes straight to Well, let's go ahead.
Yeah, we forgot to mention we have a guest speaker.
Hello,
on
hello.
this episode.
In the building. Also
Nahom,
known as.
singer extraordinaire.
Of
A lot of
course.
projects coming up for you, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And he's also about to graduate, so that's a big deal.
Yes.
Big cheers.
He's
Big
about
cheers.
to go into graduate school, right? Plans to
Hopefully.
going there.
Yeah, man. Applications are already in. We're driving. We're grinding, and we're just ready to see what good comes out of it, man. So appreciate y'all for having me.
Do you plan to do a gap year after this year, or go straight into? You haven't
So
decided.
yeah, so applications are already in, right? So
Mhm.
I'm kind of already driving towards the initiative of like following it. So no gap year, just going straight in and
Go straight ahead.
try to tackle it. But anything's in the air right now, right?
Yeah.
So still some decisions have to be made. So we're good. We're good, man.
Yeah.
So how y'all doing, man? How's everybody doing
I'm
today?
doing
What's
all
going
right.
on?
bro.
How was everybody's
I
weekend?
actually got a question for you
Had an
guys,
amazing-
bro.
What's going on?
This weekend I got into a little bit of trouble for saying some shit, and I'm gonna say the same shit.
Are we talking about?
What you mean?
I think
about.
I think Siom somehow gets into
Oh,
trouble for
right,
saying
yeah.
Are
a
we
lot
talking
of
about
things.
that or what we talking
Nah,
about?
bro. Let's just let me lay it out.
Go ahead, bro.
What do you guys think of the thought process? Black people have bad movie etiquettes. Like, if I
Black people have bad movie
Mm.
etiquette. I think it's a stereotype.
think it's a
I don't-
stereotype.
Yeah, I think definitely it's a stereotype.
I think you know what though. I think it's beyond that. I think it's because I have an experience. I have a certain story with that. So
Yeah.
there was a movie that came out a few years
Black
ago.
Panther. Oh, never mind.
It was not that. I still have to see that.
Nice,
Unfortunately.
me too.
Still gotta see
We
that
had
stuff.
plans of seeing that, but that didn't go through.
Right.
It
But
happens.
there was a movie, and I actually saw it at Hoffman. Y'all know where it's
Oh,
from, Hoffman.
yeah. That's actually where I go all the time. AMC in Hoffman, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I go there all the time. It's one of the best movie theaters you can get.
Yeah, but
like
my
in Virginia, actually.
yeah. So the main thing with that was I felt like it's more of an area thing more than a race thing. It's more of
Yeah.
like a class thing, and not just classes and like.
But Hoffman is like predominantly like upper middle class.
And that's what's surprising
it's
too.
like super. It's a really rich area.
Yeah, but it's like I think also I don't think it's just that area, but there's other areas around it. So with this particular movie, it drew in a mainly black African American audience because of the movie that
Okay.
it was.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say that I don't believe that it's due to the fact of the race. I think it has to do with the area, like the class, like the area
Yeah.
level or whatever it is, or maybe the type of movie. You know
yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
probably
So
type of movie.
That too, but I think what you just did was generalizing. The
yeah, it
whole,
was definitely
like
a lot
the
of
black people.
generalization.
I'm a black man, but I don't I go to the movies and I believe I have a good etiquette. So I don't think we should just brush on and say, the whole black
Do you want to
race
give
has
them?
No,
a
no,
bad
Do you want to give
etiquette.
them the context of this? 'Cause
Yeah,
this is
like,
a little
you
bit
know,
ambiguous.
that's why
That's
I just said the.
That's what the Germans did. So you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. I
Really,
Not to
that's
taking
what
it back
Hitler
to
did.
You
W.
just made a
Like,
comparison.
the whole Jews are that's what you just did. So
No,
Well, I
that's-
mean,
that's
let's-
not
I
what
don't
did.
think
let's
so.
not-
That's
let's
not
not
like
hold
brush
on.
like
over it,
that.
yeah.
Let's
No, I
try
did
to give
that
some
intentionally.
context.
Yeah.
Let's try to give some
So I
context.
could get your guys' thoughts on it.
Sure.
Recently I said this with like a little group of friends because the movie theater and the movies, the Black Panther is currently out, and I want to go check it out the first week of school. Not the first week. The first week it was out, and shoot, it's the mic.
Yeah,
But
you just gotta speak up like louder.
okay.
'Cause the
Um,
wavelength.
Yeah, I want to check it out the first week, but then a little thought process popped into my mind. I was like, man, just like on my individual experience as going to the movies and my experience with black people at the theater, it's always like black people are a little live, you know, like some shit happens. Oh shit, bro, did you see that? Oh man, that shit scared the fuck out of me. It's just like background sound or oh shit, like instead of just staying quiet. But that's just my individual experience. And when I want to go watch Black Panther the first week, I was like, man, should I go the first week? Because I don't want to have that same same movie experience. So I brought it up to friends, because
Wait, really?
What
You didn't want to go to Black Panther because you're afraid of having
No,
that?
That's crazy to me, bro.
no.
that's
Obviously,
a-
that's not it. But like, just the thought process came to me, and like the fact that I had that thought process, I was like, man, I felt racist. I was like, man, is this racist? So I wanted to bring it up to other people, and I brought it up to a couple friends. But recently, I brought it up to one friend, and he didn't take too kindly to it. He got upset, and but do you think this country, because of its history, that we can't talk about race, like sensitive? The people in this country are very sensitive to race talk, because like I'm bringing like even when you're bringing it up as a question.
But I don't even think this is a race thing. It's just, let's not generalize nothing. Let's not even make it a race thing. Just in life, you can't generalize things. It's not even a white and black thing. You saying you generalize the whole situation. I don't think you being racist. It's just it's just not.
If I can add some kind of like side view on that, I think that I know exactly what you're talking about because it happens, and I just remembered the movie that I was talking about earlier. It was the Kevin Hart movie like a few years ago.
Was it with Will Ferrell?
No, it was actually the one before that. So it was his stand-up. Remember when his stand-up came out? And like everybody came out. Like there was a lot of obviously predominantly black African-American audience.
Yeah.
And everybody was just kind of lit and having a good time and was loud and making jokes, right?
Yeah.
But I do honestly believe that if you went to the appropriate theater, because I go to different theaters, right? There's one in Potomac Yard that has a lot of African Americans, but they don't act the same way during movies as I've seen in Hoffman. Hoffman, it just has to do with the area, and I honestly believe that race
Hoffman
has a
is my
role,
Yeah.
but
I
it's
think-
about the class of
I
the
think
people
you
that
got-
are around
you
in that
got a
area.
point too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Yo, bro, I put
Yeah,
that thing on
he
do not
does.
I
disturb.
apologize for that. But as he was saying, so I don't want to give our location, but where we live is mostly, it's fair. It's like black
Right.
and white. It's
I think we've
it's
given
just-
our location like multitude
Yeah, I
of
guess,
times.
yo,
Let's
this
not
is-
do it again.
yeah,
They could probably
exactly.
they
So
could find the
it's
mysterious
kind of
man
like,
at this point.
it's diverse, kind of. But if
Right.
you go to like,
Yeah.
Nevada is like
Yeah.
a state, like some white state, bro.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly, you're gonna see like white people
White
doing the
people.
same thing. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's just a white and black
know.
thing. That's just a human thing. We
Yeah.
like to express when we feel happiness
Right.
and all that.
And the
And
different places
people want
that
to
you
be
go.
funny too. That's some stupid
Yeah.
shit too.
Of course.
Just people want to be funny.
But I think it's
Yeah.
interesting that Sium, that because you have a very valid point. I mean, if you want to enjoy a movie a certain way, I mean, who are you to not be able to
and
go somewhere?
it's not even about enjoying that. Like the reason I didn't go to watch Black Panther the first week isn't because I don't want to like
be around that?
Be around that. That's not the reason. I was just lazy or something. But just I had that thought process, and it kind of sparked my curiosity. And the fact that when I bring it up to people, I like seeing their reactions, because it kind of gives me an idea of like where we are in society.
Right.
And this is what I find pretty interesting.
I mean, no,
because racism, and at least in my understanding, is a racist is someone who views their race or one race superior to others, or sees one race inferior to his own or to her own. But pointing out differences in different races, is that racist? Because when you say, "Oh well, you're right," in that there's like that's a very thin line, but there are differences between races. Genetically maybe we're not that different, but behavioral wise, your environment and your experiences in life shape how you develop and your behavior.
yeah, but it's just
And
that.
I don't
not
think
race.
anybody here is going to argue that white people and black people develop in the same experience the same experiences and develop in the same environments. So if black people are growing up in a specific kind of environment and white people are growing up in a specific kind of environment, their behaviors are going to be different. Is it racist to point out
No,
those
absolutely
No,
differences?
no. But
Absolutely
it's racist. It's racist to assume that black people,
Definitely
Everybody
not-
black
not
people,
the same
assume,
way.
black people grow up in this environment,
same
so
way,
their
yeah.
behaviors are this way. Because you do see black people in what America would classify as white
Exactly.
white.
Of course.
You need to
areas,
define
like
what white
suburbia.
people means. Are you talking about like
I'm
the
talking
people with
very
the money, or are
broadly.
you talking about the white
I'm
people
talking-
in the
I'm
It
hood?
sounds
Well,
almost a
because-
bit like generalization.
Well, Nati's just
No,
making
it's
it-
definitely
he's making-
generalization.
Who-
It's definitely like I would even go as far to say stereotyping, and I feel like people have like a weird there's like a weird stigma with stereotyping, but stereotyping is actually just it's inherent in every living organism. Well, not every, nearly every living organism. Stereotyping is just pattern recognition. You know, you put your hand enough times in fire, you get burnt. You're like, oh, when I put my hand in fire, I get burnt, so I'm not going to do that again. It's pattern recognition. You need that in order to survive.
No, really. I mean, when the
Let me ask you
stereotypes
why-
are
Let me
bad,
tell you why that's a problem. The problem that we could not point out race and say white people or black people, because we don't know how you gonna define white people. How you gonna define black
I'm
people?
gonna turn off my
Who
mic.
we talking about? Well, when you say black people, are we talking about? Are we classifying them financially? Are we saying the white people was car
Skin.
money and that?
I think it's no. Go ahead.
One thing I have noticed is people tend to be a little less sensitive when you say African American people versus black people.
Because it used to be a
Because-
politically correct term to describe black people. Black people, I think, was
It's
was,
based
like,
off the color.
frowned upon.
So do you know what it is? Is what I'm finding too is with like friends and just people that I've met is that a lot of African Americans or black people they have problems being called black people by
Yeah.
white people. If
Yeah.
they're from other black people, it's like, oh, we're black. It is what it is. You
Yeah,
know,
we're
like
people
we're
from African.
yeah, we're black
origin.
people, but they have problems actually when white people call them black, and for good reason, because you can understand if a white person calls you black, based on your on that history and how you feel about that, that can be taken like as a person who is of a white color, and
Yeah,
you're calling
because
somebody
there's
who's
Caucasian,
black.
African American.
Yeah.
There's different terms to describe people
Mhm.
instead of based on primarily just race.
But it matters. The main thing I'm trying to say is that it matters from who it's coming from too.
Yeah.
That's the main takeaway. And I think that to answer your question, Nancy, from what you were saying about how you know
What was your question?
who are the white people.
I was not
What was the
trying to go
statement?
back to the same point, but
No.
what
Yeah.
I was
Go
saying
ahead.
how people grew up
Right.
exposed.
Right.
When you say black, when you say white people, you have this point. You have this picture that this is how
One white
people
people.
are gonna be raised.
Right,
But
right.
there's white people poor dirt living in a
Yeah.
trailer.
Yeah,
No,
that's-
you're,
that's the
you're
point I made,
100%
yeah.
right.
the
And
point I
when I say black, white people, I don't. When I say black people, I don't mean that every single black individual is loud in movie theaters. I'm just saying, do you think black people are tend to have worst? If you had to take like the average of all black people and take the average of all white people, would you say you're gonna see behavioral pattern differences, wouldn't you? Would you see like, oh, here, let me see.
Well,
if I
yeah,
can
no,
come
you're
up with
right.
an
You're right.
I
example.
mean,
Oh,
yeah,
even
but it's like
vernacular is a perfect example. You talk to I don't know the majority, but like actually, yeah, a good portion of the African American community talks in a certain manner. Yo, what's good, bro? We out here chilling.
But
White
those
people
are
don't do that.
no.
Yeah,
But
that's
here's
like-
the thing.
look,
It's
see,
not
now you're
racist
just-
to point that out.
But you're shoving.
Is it racist to point out other behavioral patterns?
No.
No, but you're shoving the generalization down.
Yeah.
Like you're really trying to hit home.
Let me
with the
give you an
generalization
example. Let me
because-
give you an
And
example.
also,
Hold
by
on.
the
What
way, I'm not
happens is, like,
making
you're
it as
saying-
a statement. I'm bringing it up as
Yeah,
a
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, of course, I
you
know.
there's
But
white
what you're
people that
saying-
say, "Yo, what's up, my G?"
That's
like,
what I'm
there's
saying.
people
And
who
there's-
talks like
I
that,
know.
right?
Here, here.
talking
No, he said the
no
average. But look
amongst,
here.
between
Here's-
each community.
Here's the thing, though. Like, but that in itself is just a huge generalization because when you're taking the average of black people, you're neglecting those who talk like how society would view white people
Right.
talk, and you're neglecting black people that were brought up at a white suburban home.
Like Tom
So-
from Boondocks.
And then
No, I'm
you're
kidding.
also neglecting. You're also neglecting exactly.
Hey,
And you're also
I'm Tom.
neglecting,
That was a good
mixed
point.
children. It's just so much neglection,
Yeah.
and it's just, you're kind of overlooking the neglection to focus on the generalization, which is what generalization is, and which is what makes it so bad, is because
How powerful.
now you're saying,
Yeah.
well, let's just take the average of all black people, and then you're leaving the other people neglected. You're overlooking that That's why I think it's wrong. You know, that's why I think generalization in general to say
They're
like all
devastating.
black people.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a movie because black people have bad movie etiquette. That statement itself is just a massive generalization. Now, if you're saying it in
That's what I was
comedic,
talking about this
Yeah.
whole time.
yeah, if you're
He was
saying
just
it in a
trying to prove
not
your
comedic,
point.
generalize,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah,
It's
if you're
not
saying-
a racism thing, it's just let's not do that.
There's
Yeah.
different people.
now if
and
you're saying it in a
different places.
comedic way and you're just like having some fun, you're poking some fun, it's really lighthearted. It's fine because it's just comedy. You know, it's not an accurate reflection of your inner thoughts of like,
But
okay,
you know
all
what?
black people have bad movie etiquette.
Here's the thing. I think this is very important, and it's that people have different experiences, and by people that have not had that same experience to see different people from different backgrounds, they may see certain people a different way, or you may see like and say, oh, black people may be this way, or white people may be this way. Not to come to you and say that you haven't had that, but if you haven't seen that whole picture and kind of are not able to break it down into those different factors, then you may see a certain group of people and say, oh, they behave like this or they behave like this. And I think, but to one thing to your point, is I do want to say that to the base, to the core, there are absolutely cultural differences. No matter what, there will always be a difference. Like if you go down south to an African American's home, their grandmother may have some soul food cooking or some sort of cultural thing. Yeah. There's not to say that the whole thing takes over their life, but there is a factor. There is most definitely. There's something that you can't take away from a black man's soul. You can't take away the music. You know, there's a lot of history, inventions,
and with
science.
with those things comes
Exactly.
generalizations
Every
too.
society
And
has
it's
its own
easy.
culture.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's easy for people to perceive, those cultural associations with generalizations,
Absolutely.
by saying like if you go to a black family in somewhere in the South, you'll get soul food.
Not
That
necessarily.
itself is a generalization,
Right.
but it is also like appropriate to that culture
Right.
sometimes.
Right.
So
Exactly what I'm
it's
trying
kind
to
of
say.
finding a fine line between
Sure.
generalization, ignorant generalization, and
Sure.
cultural like association.
Sure.
It's like saying, I don't want to cut you off, but it's like saying, oh, every Chinese people know how to do karate. Like, no, bro.
That,
I mean,
yeah,
did you?
it's just a
By the-
saying, yeah.
Did you give the context
By
of
the
the
way,
story?
When I say this, I never said like black people have bad movie etiquettes like that. I never said that like as a statement or as a or as a already done deal conclusion.
It was just
I-
something
I-
lighthearted.
Something to
No,
think
no,
about.
no, no. But really, this is the
Something
thing.
to
Like,
think
like
about.
when I brought it up, even to like my friends that I study with, and the dude who got mad, I brought it up as a topic of discussion. But and why I find this interesting is I find a lot of race-related topics very interesting, but I don't see that same interest in people. I feel like this country, because of its history,
Oh yeah.
because of its
No. See, here's
let me-
right.
here's what I
Like,
agree with
Nobody wanna
100%.
be called racist.
Race is such
Nobody
a
want to be
not,
yeah,
called
not
racist.
because
listen,
racists just
race is
even
such a
talk
sen-
about it.
Yeah, I was gonna go on that.
I feel like
when you
this
bring it
country,
up,
due
it
to
makes
its
people-
history,
Yeah,
like it's run out of patience to even talk about it. So if they see, like, I feel like people have been conditioned to almost to where if they see something that's that looks or feels racist, they immediately just call it racist
No,
without giving it a
Let me
proper
throw
look.
something-
Now you veered off. You veered off. So look,
you
look.
really got
here's
this
where
shit all wrong, bro.
Here's where I agree
I
with
wish I
them.
can talk, but go ahead, bro. I will save my point.
Here's where I agree with them. I do agree that race is such a sensitive topic that people are really afraid to speak on it. That's 100% correct. Like people are so afraid to be labeled, those different labels of racist and sensitive. Nowadays, if you give a political statement, like you'll get in trouble. The founder of Under Armour made a comment that said that Trump's business practices. Can you wave, Nazi? Yeah. So he made it. So the founder of Under Armour. The founder of Under Armour made a statement that said Trump's business, the way he conducts business and politics of business has been in an all-time high. It's been great. Trump is a great business mindset as a president. Stocks plummeted. He lost a lot of money. Steph Curry, that had to deal with him, publicly shamed him for that comment. So yeah, talking about race nowadays or talking about politics, anything like that, is such a red flag, especially race, because it's such a sensitive topic. But I don't think that people should make comments that are specifically racist,
Comments, discussions, bring topics up for discussion.
Yeah.
That would and Nat, you said you wanted to say something?
Yeah,
what
go
I was
ahead.
trying to say was, I wasn't even born when this happened, but what I think is, I think America, after the the rights in the 60s and all that. After that, once they decided, once the law said black and white people are equal, after the
Emancipation Proclamation.
exactly. What was the
I mean, that's
Jim
just
Crow,
free-
after the Jim
Oh,
Crow
yeah,
laws
yeah,
and
yeah.
all that, after the 60s, Martin Luther King. After that, I think white America just moved off from this racism thing. No, if you call a white person racist, it's some crazy shit, bro. No, I'm not racist. Nobody want to be called racist, but it's always there though. People are racist, but white America don't want to be called racist.
And I think we're moving away from that slowly. Like
No,
it's still there.
Let me
but,
finish
like,
my point. But why I say that was you said the reason why we don't talk about racism is because everybody's frustrated. No, nobody's frustrated. It's just why America wants to cover it and why America wants to tell us that there's no racism. But there is racism in America.
No, you're definitely
That's what I'm
right.
saying.
Well, you think
Yeah,
that? You
there's-
think people are still saying that nowadays? I remember them saying.
mean,
Wait,
bro?
wait,
People, you
saying
think
what?
people are
Saying
still
what?
saying that there's no racism though?
Oh,
Nah.
bro,
Yeah,
what
there's
you
a lot of people
mean,
that say
bro?
that.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that say,
You
especially like
tripping,
not
bro.
to attack, but especially like a lot
That's
of white.
ridiculous.
No, listen.
They
Bro.
must be blind. To
No,
the
there's
world.
there's a lot of
How
nigga, you
how are they gonna
tripping,
say
bro.
that when there's constant news coming out of
Yeah.
the one of the owners of NBA
My
said
nigga,
some racist things towards
go
Magic Johnson.
watch Fox News, bro. The news you get is different than what you get on CNN, bro. So which one are you
Unfortunately-
gonna believe?
No, but that has nothing. Well, how does that deal with
No,
people
I'm saying
thinking
I'm
that there's
talking
no
about
racism?
the mainstream media
There's
saying racism is not here.
listen,
Go watch Fox
there's a
News.
huge
Come
there's a
on.
That's
huge
what I'm saying.
community.
I don't believe
There-
that at
Because
all.
you say does people
Well, no,
still
no.
say
Here,
that
well,
shit?
here. Let's just get some clarification on that.
Go
It depends on their definition of racism. Because if they think that racism is discrimination based on color, then okay, it's understandable to see from their point of view. But if they say something like racism is like a systematic, a systematic,
Institutional
Systematic
It's-
oppression.
a
And
systematic
systematic
institution
oppression
that
is definitely
benefits
still
people
exists.
Which
of
exists, the jail
people-
systems, everything.
No, no,
Exactly.
I'm-
the
I'm
whole
saying-
tax break. Let's
Look,
not
listen,
forget that.
I'm not arguing about the fact that it
Institutional.
doesn't exist. I'm
Right.
arguing about the fact
The
of
views.
do we think that people still think
there's
that
people
there's
that
no
tell me all the
racism?
time, and there's and
With that
unfortunately,
definition of systematic racism,
absolutely.
that's ridiculous.
I'ma be
They're
100%
just ignorant. They're
But
ignorant.
that,
They're
but
just-
that, let
they're
me tell you what
ignorant.
that is. That is education. That they
Yeah,
may
it's
not know
ignorance.
about. However, there is another form of racism besides institutional racism, where it's just simply about how we treat people and how people are viewed. And there's a lot of just simply about how another person may be viewed without looking at.
Oh, so you're
without
talking.
looking
You're
at
tapping
numbers.
into
You brought up a
microaggression.
good point.
So
now.
microaggression.
Yeah.
Yeah, microaggression is discrimination. Like it's like internal like racism. It could be ignorance from that person saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, wow, Siom, you actually got a really good grade on that exam. Wow,
No.
I'm surprised."
Yeah, it's about.
Or what the hell, Siom, you're in this class? This is advanced chemistry or organic chem. What the heck? You're
well,
in
it's
this class?
about being
Those are
empathetic and
insensitive-
sympathetic.
Yeah,
to,
it's insensitive comments like that
Just
that
because of your
spur
skin.
microaggression. Yeah, but it could be ignorance.
and it's ignorance
amongst that
They don't
person.
know.
Yeah, they could not be
They're-
racist. It's just that the system has developed them, has conditioned their brain
think
to
it's okay.
automatically.
One other
think it's
thing is
okay.
also why people think there's no racism in America. Is there's two types of racism. The one is that y'all are talking about physically when
Yeah, view.
the law states that black and white are equal. So like established that people think we're equal. But the other one is I just lost my train of thought, but we'll go back to it.
You talking
Yeah.
about institutional?
Yeah, I literally lost.
We're talking about institutional.
Yeah,
I
I'll
think
say-
the other there's like institutional racism and there's overt racism.
Exactly.
Overt.
That's
Yeah,
what
I
I
was
was
the
talking
Which is
first.
about.
like
You
the
know
Ku
how in the
Klux
60s
Klan.
it used to be like because of your color screen.
Mhm.
That's
That's
thing
overt.
is off now.
Yeah.
Because of that, people think racism
Hidden.
is gone.
No,
But
absolutely.
there's
It's
a
worse.
Modern racism.
It's worse.
going on right now.
Now
it's
it's
just
hidden.
ridiculous that people actually think that it's gone.
That's what
though.
I was
I
saying.
don't
I'm
think.
sorry
I think even if they think that it's gone, I think the
No
tide
way.
is switching to people are starting to become more and more aware of racism, especially with police brutality.
Oh my
Videos
goodness.
coming
gonna
out.
Oh my
bring that
I'm
goodness.
just surprised that people even think that there is no racism. I think
Crazy.
Did
the
you
people
guys
that do
see,
are ignorant.
Chris
inside
Rock's
is-
new special.
Yeah, I did. I saw some of it.
Oh,
I didn't
bro,
watch
this
that
man
yet,
had
bro.
it
He
on
goes in.
Netflix. He had
He goes
it.
in.
He said he's like,
Yeah.
yo, can these police like at least shoot a couple white kids just to make it look sound even, look even?
But let me bring
Say
this
that.
He
into
said that. He said that.
Let me point out
Dang,
a nice idea for y'all. So, what do you guys think about gun laws?
Before we
Yeah, I was-
change topics real quick,
yeah.
I just want to say, to go back to what I said initially, like try approaching this from like a scientific
Standpoint.
approach. Like me as a human being, pattern recognition is embedded in me. I need it to survive in life. But what I experience doesn't necessarily mean it's universally applicable. If I have a bad experience with black people at the movies, that doesn't necessarily mean that applies for all black people. However,
That's a black
You're right.
person.
you're right. Yeah, but in order for me to understand that, I can't, like, just on my individual experience, I can't make a conclusion. I need, because my sample size, if this was a scientific lab report, my data is too small. My sample size is too small. So my only way of getting a bigger sample size is by bringing up the topic to other people and getting data from their experiences.
Yeah,
And
don't
the
get it wrong.
process-
We're not punishing you
No, no, no,
because
but
you're
no, I'm
bringing this
saying,
point
but-
up.
No, I don't feel that, but like, bring the topic
Your
of
sample
race,
size needs to
and
increase.
especially especially when it's the topic of race should not be something that shouldn't be brought up, especially if you feel some kind of racist, you felt like some kind of racist thought or something towards one race. Make sure, instead of if we just tell people, oh, you can't say anything racist, then everybody's just gonna live their life based on their individual experiences, which necessarily isn't necessarily right. They might have experienced their one individual experience might not be universally applicable.
And I just
Yeah,
want to
but I
want to
mean-
bring up to our listeners too that racism is, if just to think about it, because we've really been discussing it, but to really honestly be racist to another human being, it can comprise of one of two things. It's either you have an immense hatred for someone that you don't even know what they've been through, where
Or it
they're
could be
from, ignorance. But I honestly think that it's discriminatory, where it's just like ignorance, which is what you're saying. So
Yeah, I
like
think
that
it's
person doesn't do
mainly
this because they look like that. That's that. And then the other one is immense hatred,
And it's not. It's
So-
like it's not only. I feel like it's not only ignorance. It's just it's ignorance. You know,
miseducation, not
it's
educating yourself.
ignorance matched with the fact that there's stubbornness too. Because even if you say something racist, right, and you
Right.
get reprimanded, people call you out for it amongst your friends or whatever.
Twitter, whatever.
You might overtly say to them, "Oh yeah, you know what's wrong. You guys are right." But deep down, the feelings of that same feelings you had, that viewpoint you still had, would always live with you, and you would always think that way.
I
You know.
forgot who said this to me. I think it might have even been you, Nazi. But it was no white person's a racist, but everybody still goes back to grandma.
But everybody's
and,
what? Say that again for me.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
so, bro. I'm not that
It's
smart.
like no white people are no white people are racist, but everybody still loves grandma or something
Yeah,
like that.
That's not me, bro.
And the
That's
thought
too
process,
smart.
the thought process behind that, I think there is, nobody says that they're racist. Nobody, if you ask them, but everybody still
Yeah.
goes to their grandma, who most likely is not racist, but grew up in a time where racism amongst white people was more common. And
And the
it's
Yeah,
not
but I mean, you
universally
shouldn't
applicable, but
hate
just
your
like the thought-
you
I
shouldn't
mean,
hate
no,
your grandma even if she grew up in that time, or even if she is racist. Like, you're still gonna have love for her family.
This,
Like, everyone still loves family
it's
members
just
that are
a phrase,
horrible.
but, like,
so this
That's
goes back
interesting.
to the stigma that black people are more close to their grandmas than their mom, right?
No.
No, dead ass.
He's saying no. He's
There's
just,
a stigma that goes like that.
no. What he was saying was like he was saying is like a saying that said like no one wants to be racist, but everyone goes back to their grandma. Like, if their grandma grew up in a
Right.
racist time where she was overtly racist, they would they would be against racism, but they're not actively against racism.
I
Like,
thought-
they're not going to go to their grandma and say, "Hey, like, that's completely
Yeah.
wrong. You're wrong for doing all this."
Okay,
They're not
okay,
going to
okay,
speak
okay.
out.
I kind of
It's-
interpreted that differently too. I thought it
Yeah,
was
I was
more of
like,
like,
some-
Oh, that's how I
else.
interpret
Well,
it. Is that how
That's
you
the
Yo,
right-
yeah, I
that's
think
the
it's say
right
yeah.
we all interpreted it a little differently, but
what it means,
I guess
bro.
there's a difference.
Tell us what it
Isaac
means.
just said it
Isaac
perfectly.
Oh,
did,
okay.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting that you say that, though, because when I was reading a book, right, called "Why Do All the Black People Sit Together in the Cafeteria?" It's an amazing book. I forgot the author, but I read this back in high school. It was like my senior year. But the author, she's a girl. She mentioned that how there's racism in this world, right? And what they want is they want people of Caucasian descent to not only to be against racism, but to actively be against racism, to be anti-racist, not just people that are against racism, but to be anti-racist. So she used the analogy of people moving on a conveyor belt, right? The conveyor belt is just racism in this country. It's always there. It's always present. A conveyor belt like the ones on the floor, not the ones
Right.
that you
Yeah.
talk.
Right.
So she's like, it's just a conveyor belt. Racism will always exist. Now, Caucasians could just stand on the conveyor belt. That's, benefiting them, the systematic racism that's benefiting
Right.
their color. They can just stand on the conveyor belt and live their life and continue to benefit from the conveyor belt. Or they can be anti-racist and go in the opposite direction of the conveyor belt. So it was kind of that thing of like, be actively anti-racist.
To slow
not
down the
just be
conveyor
against
belt.
racism, be quiet about it, and benefit from the system.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that just such an interesting point? What if the majority of white people came out and said that they were anti-racist?
No,
Could you imagine that?
When that happened,
It would get
America's racist.
It would get so.
I would.
Man,
it would
get
be
so
an
crazy.
amazing
The
thing.
That's
entire
why
political
Trump is
landscape.
president
Because
right
capital,
now.
because it would mess with their money, and that's the main thing. Their jobs,
Yeah.
their money. My boss might fire me for saying something, that might be against their company, their board.
Yeah.
They might think they're too risky or too out there.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a
would be
world,
amazing.
if there was a world that existed like that, I feel like it would have to be like, it would be a fine line. But if it was done correctly, I honestly believe that racism wouldn't exist, because it starts at a child level, because no one's born
Oh
racist,
my
right?
goodness, it's generational. It's
This
generational.
racism is embedded or taught
Absolutely.
upon them through their experiences,
Absolutely.
through family.
America's
So if the
racist.
system was changed, then there wouldn't be racism.
Well,
It'll be. It's such an
Still here.
yeah,
And
it's
I-
such
and
a
I'll say
crazy
this.
thought to think, because we can't even imagine it.
Very, and I'll say this most definitely. For me personally, so the listeners know, I was born in England and I grew up here in America, and I'm shout out to Ohio, shout out VA, but I'm proud to be Eritrean American, and I'm proud for I'm happy and I'm lucky for what I've obtained by being in this country. I'm thankful more than anything, very thankful.
Yeah.
But I'm also a human being, and I have a soul, and I believe in treating other human beings with the same decency and level of respect.
Yeah.
And so from saying that, I do also want to acknowledge that there are very beautiful people out there among different races who are striving to help people.
Yeah.
My sister actually just came from a 2-year Peace Corps trip, and
you
they have
told me about that. How was it?
yeah. Oh
How
man,
was
she the most timeless experiences that she's ever done. I mean, she freaking did a lot. She did bungee jumping, among other things. Like that's
I've
just
thought
the
of
fun
doing
part.
it, yeah.
It's just an amazing experience.
Tell the listeners what Peace Corps is, by the
Sure.
way, for those that don't know.
So for a lot of people that do know, I feel like a lot of international people may not know, because it's mainly an American program.
Yeah, it tends to be national. I mean, I think it is international.
It is international,
Yeah.
Peace Corps
but
in the United States military.
it's Peace Corps. No, so the way it works
No.
is it's a service-based organization.
Okay.
So what they do is basically they send people out. You apply for it, and they send people out to various locations in the world, most likely to what the world views as quote unquote third world countries that are just beginning or striving or just working hard to improve their conditions.
Yeah.
And they go out and they help build schools. They teach. A lot of people may do things with the nation that have to do with their field of study,
Yeah,
where they
it could
graduated
be
from.
like a plethora. I remember when I did my nonprofit internship in Casa de Maryland, but we had a sub branch in Casa de Virginia. But we had some Peace Corps members that just did activist. What is it called? Well, anyway, it's some activist work, so they just did administrative duties.
It's amazing.
Helping out.
It's amazing. And my sister had the most timeless opportunities and the things that she's done.
They get paid very low, but they do get covered with
everything.
other things, yeah.
And she got to travel. She traveled across Africa. She traveled to Morocco, South Africa.
If you're lucky to do Peace Corps abroad, it's
incredible. There's even one of her friends went to Ethiopia from here, so she saw some of her. I think she had people there. But it's just a timeless. So, and I really want to link this back to, because her experience, my experience growing up may have been different with white people or other people, and so when she came back, how did she see the world as one?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
those
it's
people,
interesting.
everybody came from different places to come help this one nation in Cameroon, to just kind of help build and create. So how can you have hatred or ignorance in your heart when you see something so different and so innocent and
You'll be like
primal in its core?
You'd be so surprised how many people are sheltered. Like I
I was sheltered too. Growing up,
I spent a majority of my time in West Virginia, right? And
I didn't know that.
whenever our team, right, our high school team, our middle school or basketball teams played against around the state in West Virginia, like some of the people that we came across, like when we played games, this literally their first time ever seeing a black person.
Are you
in
kidding me?
person. Yeah.
What the
in person.
exactly.
Like, they've
The
never
middle
West
met a
Virginia.
black person.
It's still-
Ohio is
There's
kind of like that
still-
too.
there's
No,
still
I was probably the
lot of
first black
parts-
person for my school too. I
Yeah.
was probably the first one they ever saw, or I
And
actually came
people-
talk to.
Yeah.
Talk to.
And
you know?
people are like amazed when I say things like this because
Mhm.
they see so much they see so much
Oh, yeah.
representation in media now. I know people are saying like, there's not a lot of black representation in media, but compared to
Face-to-face
before,
contact, yeah.
there's starting to get a lot more representation in media. So
Of course.
everything that's put out in Hollywood and in our on television,
Yeah.
on our laptops, on YouTube, it's a representation of many parts of the world, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of Hollywood is in California, so
Mhm.
it's evocative of that demographic. So when
Mhm.
people say like, "Wow, there's actually parts of America
Mhm.
that they've never seen black people," people are
Mhm.
like, "Whoa, what?"
It's
I never knew
amazing.
that.
And to be honest to you, to be
That
really
probably accounts to a lot of like racism because there is true ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In its rawest form.
But you know what's beautiful is that what's amazing about, and I will again bring up white people. I'll say the majority, like those people who have not been white people who have just not been exposed to other races, is that when you do come in contact with them or they come in contact with you, I will say this: for the majority of it, it's always been like an innocent kind of I don't know where you are or who you are or where you're from, and it's just kind of like that vibe. They don't come out. Like I've never
Yeah.
been come out, but the way that it affects us for any listeners that might be hearing this is it's not the fact that you may ignore us, because that's the worst honestly kind of treatment you can get for someone who's just come into the country or
Yeah.
someone, and that's what a majority of them do, and that affects us, that hurts us.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So and so I feel like that's a very important point to
Have a-
consider as well.
I have like a pretty funny story that I want to bring up. So, back in high school, right? There's this kid that went to my high school, my second high school that I went to, but he's just a really shy guy. He's obviously he's all Caucasian, very skinny, but he loves to play basketball, right? And I would always poke fun at him, like, man, how was that at your family dinners, dog? Like that shit. Like he's told me that like for Thanksgiving he had a family dinner where his entire family brought family together, right?
Mhm.
And he mentioned that his family hunts, right?
Oh.
So, my
Where's
brain
this
obviously
going?
clicked into
Can
this.
you imagine little Isaac in this house, bro?
Yeah, so, that was like already that was already like a target. I was like, yo, I'm about to pounce
Oh,
those.
you think you have a
stereotypes.
story? I
But
got a
obviously,
story too,
it
man.
was in a comedic, lighthearted way.
Right.
I didn't mean it with seriousness. I was like, yo, your family hunts? Well, they wore camo to the Thanksgiving table. I was like, that's a rap, dog. I know there's a racist out there. Point it out to me right now. And he starts to laugh. He starts laughing. He's like, yeah, like he's like, man, I don't even mess with my family members like that, dog. It's like I don't even like them. I was like, yo, what's up? Like, what happened? He's like, nah, bro, some of them are just flat out racist, dog.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
he actually said that. This is from Northern Virginia, bro. Like,
Yeah.
so
Well, is
he's a shy guy, so it's shy for him to speak out about
Yeah.
it. But he was like, yo, I don't even mess with them
That's
like that.
that's
right?
crazy, and that's
Yeah,
crazy that he has that.
crazy,
That's
bro,
what I'm
for
saying.
Yeah, but
And-
he's in high school. He's surrounded like
Yeah.
by such diversity,
Yeah.
and he talks like his vernacular is like he talks slang like he's just a normal
Mhm.
kid. Like
Mhm.
he might be shy, but he talks slang.
But his background is
like,
different.
Yeah.
It's
He's posted in the cut like with everybody else.
Right.
So when he sees his family members, he's like, "Yo, I don't even mess with all this." He said that one of his family members asked him to go duck hunting. He's like, "You know what? We want to teach you how to
Yeah,
hunt.
dude.
This is something that we do. Like we just want you to experience the outdoors." Like, "Yo, no, I don't mess with all that." He's like, "Nah,
Damn.
like, nah, good,
That's
bro.
funny.
I'm good. Let's play some basketball, bro.
Let's hoop, bro.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
hoop, bro. Let's put some money on that."
Moving on, though.
Moving
so we
on,
don't talk
yeah.
about one thing. The
Of course,
whole
but that was a
podcast.
definitely very
You
important point.
want to take it in a direction.
yeah. So I think we were
Not to, not to. This.
No, I mean.
like-
Okay. Yeah, we were
can move on to,
I
like,
think Sium was getting ready to kind of forward with this. Me too. It's just so we're talking about race relations right now and how that's been incorporated in what's going on today, which is a bunch of things, right? But I think the most recent I think we can talk about is like especially the gun violence lately.
That's what I was trying to.
Sure.
Are
Yeah.
you going? Go
The
ahead.
whole
go ahead.
school shooting,
School
that.
shootings,
Ooh, that's a hot
views
topic.
and
Too,
race.
Let's talk about the
Sure.
the Florida
But
shooting.
how do
It's
we
such a
solve
sensitive
the gun
topic.
problem
Very,
in this
very.
country?
I'm like afraid. My heart is about to pound.
Really?
Right now, talk about this Florida.
But you know
shooting,
what?
man. It's such a sensitive topic.
It's horrific. It's really, really sad that lives are literally being lost. And it's crazy how we talk about a life as in lives. Like we look at lives as in numbers. One life that person is gone. You know what I mean? And the way that they get gone, it just for me, whenever I think about this, I think about the one where the kids at Sandy Hook, the kindergartners that were just slaughtered. And it was just, and I know it's not even an appropriate term. I feel bad for using that word for that, but it was just a madhouse. So, I'd be interested to hear how you guys feel.
Like I shouldn't have said that word. No.
A race? No, but
did you see Trump's comments on that, by the way?
Crazy.
Talk about that. Talk
Crazy.
about that. Go ahead.
Oh my
Anything
God.
he says.
Explain it to the viewers.
Crazy.
Explain it to the viewers.
How? Okay. So to respond to what's going on, Trump decided to come up with the idea to arm staffs and teachers.
And just to be
And
specific, he didn't
he
say
said
just
the incentives is gonna
crazy.
be we're gonna give him bonuses.
No. Time
Are
out.
you-
He didn't just say he wants to arm teachers.
I
He
didn't even
said
hear
he
about the
wants to
bonuses.
arm trained teachers, not like the teachers that are gonna go 2 weeks in boot camp.
Ooh,
My
is that
nigga.
interesting. Are you?
Yo, is this
time
nigga
out,
telling
time
me?
out.
Oh my God,
wait,
bro.
wait. No, that's good. It's good to hear
I'm
that
glad,
point.
yo, go out, bro. I'm
That's
glad
good.
this shit
But
happened.
I'm glad.
what
I'm
he
glad I
actually-
finished high school before all of this stuff,
Give
man.
context. Don't say
Yo.
that. Don't say you're glad.
What he actually said was that I want, if there are like teachers that have military experience or police officer experience, I want them to be on. I want those teachers to be on.
But they already have police
Listen,
in
the
high
security.
schools,
But here's the problem.
in
Let me
schools.
let me clarify that because I actually did a little bit of research on this. So for right now, for what a lot of the parents are looking for right now is for maintained regular armed security staff in the schools, in all schools.
I thought they
That's what
already
they're
have
saying.
that with the
Not in all
Exactly,
police.
my high
schools,
school
but
had
not in
two
all
police,
not in all
bro.
schools.
Ridiculous.
But in this particular school, there was a
was
malfunctional
a police
situation. There was
officer.
one, and he was actually standing outside,
Nigga,
posted
he
up,
drew his gun out,
waiting
bro, but he
while
did
the-
not.
while the
go in,
massacre was
bro.
happening.
They had the video, bro.
There were
They had
teachers.
the
What the
video,
hell?
bro.
This nigga was just
Exactly.
just standing?
Posted down. And the,
Like,
the
yo, I'm gonna get this nigga after he kills everybody.
It's
no,
really sad.
But
No,
he
he
did not
just-
do all
too
that, but he
scared to
just
even,
hide
like,
behind and draw his gun.
And for
bro.
me, what I was thinking is
and he was ready
initially,
to retire too. I think that's why they saying that's why he didn't.
initially for me,
I
I
swear
was
to
thinking
God,
like
bro.
initially I was thinking like he was waiting for police because you know what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to wait until police arrive.
Oh,
But if
wait
you
until
know,
backup,
but if
yeah,
you
yeah,
know
first
that
protocol,
everybody is,
kind
it's
of.
you got it. That's
kids, bro.
Yeah,
you
protocol.
know there's kids,
Yeah,
bro.
the bright
Fuck
future.
forget
protocol.
that. There
Are
were
you
kidding
heroes.
me, bro?
There were heroes. There were
Yes, but
students
the
and
the
teachers.
gym teacher died,
Let alone,
bro.
let alone
Yeah,
your security.
there was the coach that shielded his body
Exactly,
against students.
yeah.
Students
You
that
know
do
what's
that too.
crazy about this is, did you see Trump's? He had like a note card
Yo,
of talking points.
Oh my God.
I'm like,
bro.
yo, this wasn't even
Shit's
genuine. It
getting,
didn't come
like,
out of
some
heart.
Listen,
clownish
I've
shit,
gotta-
bro.
I have
think
to say this.
Like, it's some robotic, like, yo, like this man had a
Listen.
talking point
I
of
swear to
things.
God, bro.
Let me
I would
tell you
not
guys
be
something.
surprised, bro.
Let
That's
me tell you guys
how
something.
he
I'm
was
about
acting.
to make a prediction, and
Hot
for
take.
our listeners that are very right viewed and no matter what point of
Yeah, that's what I was.
That you-
it's
that
good,
you-
It's good that you mentioned that. I was very
Yeah.
afraid that.
But
we
you
were,
know what?
we were too left on
No.
this. Like we're.
Yeah,
like,
that's why we got to you.
We
No,
need,
no, no,
so we need
but
someone
that's how
that.
we
I'm
gotta
looking
see
at this
you.
objectively, and I really mean this, and I think that both sides of the situation can kind of look at this because now it's come to a cost of human lives. And let me be clear, and let me just say this: we're already at war with officials that are supposed to guard our children, our babies, and they're supposed to look after them, like people that are supposed to keep the streets safe, and we're not even there yet. We have a problem. There are police officers that a lot of communities see as murderers, abductors that they see as a more than a pest in our life.
Yep.
And this is clearly a people problem.
There's absolute
And
distrust between
complete.
the community and the police.
Complete.
The Baltimore police officers.
Yeah.
Which one?
And to finish-
the niggas planting and shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
they plan
that's
to.
a-
And to finish
plans
that,
everything.
I just
Go on,
wanted to
though.
say that to give teachers a weapon, and we're bringing our children into those classrooms, and there's already a problem.
So
That person is supposed to discipline that person. There are already, you can go on YouTube, World Star, and there are already fights happening with teachers in certain schools. If that teacher pops off, not to mention mental illnesses, we don't know who that person is, and you're giving them a gun.
let me put it in a clear, kind of dumb way.
Well, we know Nahom's stance on this
so-
whole thing.
Yeah, objective. I'm looking
I support-
absolutely like
I'm
this
with
is
where's
more
your
than just
stance?
a
Where's your
right
stance?
left.
So you tell me, when I send my kid, there's gonna be AR-14 literally 2 steps from
I think
him
they want a
under the
handgun.
desk.
I think they want a
I
handgun.
don't
that
think
crazy?
it's going to be like that. I like you're kind of going worst case scenario where there's an assault.
It's
rifle
not a
just
worst
inside
case.
A drawer.
I'm saying
A gun is a
weapon.
gun. A gun is a
weapon.
gun.
Where
A
is the
weapon that
weapon?
will kill another human
But
being.
that weapon.
I don't give a
there's
fuck.
no-
It's a ball. I don't think a fuck. It's an arrow that will harm another person. And
Look,
that can be
this
accessed
classroom.
easily.
Let me tell you
Here's-
something. I'm a
here's
sped.
mine. I'm
I'm
gonna
a
say
special
mine.
education minor, right? So my whole thing is about even to me. I'm training as a therapist. That whole classroom, from what I've been learning and everything, is there are so many factors that are already trying to be obtained when having children learn successfully. There are children who already have struggles. There are children who already have they have intellectual disabilities. They have certain learning disabilities, and there's already a struggle to have children learn, and then to put that in the environment of learning. These are places that parents rely on their children being safe in,
Exactly.
and then to have a teacher
I
come
wanna
in.
be sure.
No, to have someone come in that has as a threat to that is not an environment for that.
Well, here's the thing. You see it as a threat. There's other opinions on it. So here's the crazy thing, okay? Before we touch on it, is like there's people from both sides. There's some people that say having guns, if everyone is armed, then the person that's armed that is the potential school shooter will be able to be taken down in a much quicker, more efficient manner as opposed to waiting for security. Obviously, that shows that
makes
doesn't work.
absolute
But the
sense.
police
Now-
officer
Makes
Now,
sense.
here's
Go
the
ahead,
thing.
go
Here's the
ahead,
thing. Now,
go
there's
ahead.
also people from the other side that says, well, if we give this gun to a lethal weapon to a teacher, what happens if a scenario that Nahom mentioned, where a student gets in a fight with the teacher in a heated moment takes out a gun and does damage, or a variety, a slew of problems can arise from arming teachers.
I wasn't
thousand
even
scenarios.
thinking about like the teacher shooting. I was thinking
Yeah.
about
The
a
students-
student having access to the weapon.
Even then,
Exactly.
even that's
See,
another
there's
threat. That shouldn't
there's
be
that,
there.
and then
That was that was in my
Here's-
mind. I wasn't even thinking
Yeah.
about
The teacher
that.
is the one.
Here's a crazy thing
Exactly.
though. Like, so
People snap.
there's this
Don't get
school,
fucked
right?
up.
Police
There's this
officers.
school. I think it's in
Exactly.
I would like to say I'm probably gonna get the state completely wrong. I'm not gonna say the state.
Okay,
There's
what
this
do you
high
guys
school,
think
right?
Is the solution then, though?
Here, I'm about to touch on that. There's this high school that has armed security, right? But beefed up armed security. They have
My
cameras
high
all.
school had 2
Yeah.
polices.
You
Yeah.
walk through
So
a armed.
They have cameras all across the ceiling. They have smoke alarms that get triggered. So the benefit of having the cameras is there's a police station monitoring the cameras, and there's also officials around there that's also monitoring the cameras. They're also 10 minutes away from a police station. They have cameras all across the ceiling to see where the intruder is. And then they have smoke alarms.
Detectors.
The smoke bombs go off, and they descend the entire hallway with smoke wherever the shooter is. They have police department on hand, so each classroom has this little switch that is able to call the police right away. They have a red tape that here's the door, right? The doors are bulletproof, by the way. Here's the door. The red tape is the shooter's line of visibility. You just get in the corner. You stack up books. All the students are trained to keep the desk down, to put a book right in front of their face. They stand in the corner where the shooter has
not
no.
gonna do anything, though.
No, it actually does. In the
You
Florida
never
shooting,
know.
one of the girls mentioned that her teacher
Yeah,
told
I think-
told her to put a book in front of her, and it was able to deter some of the bullets or
Wow.
deter the trajectory.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
There was a.
So
there
it
was
doesn't
a-
stop
an
the bullet.
Probably
doesn't
like
it
a
doesn't stop the
fragment or
bullet.
something.
It doesn't stop the
you
bullet.
never
get
know.
fragments.
Yeah, it doesn't stop the bullet, but it can probably
divert its.
cause the
trajectory.
trajectory to
Hits
go
it
in a
at an
different way.
angle or something along those
Yeah.
lines.
If you
Okay,
get lucky.
I can see that.
By the way, it's just even if it does just a little bit,
This
it
is a game
helps.
plan for worst case scenario.
Yeah, but it's crazy. But all these security measures are taken in place in a high school, right? And it does benefit the high school, but one of the person I was talking in the video was saying, like, it's crazy how far our society has come that we have
For
to
that
take
to
these
happen.
measures, like
And I
to
understand.
arm a school like a prison, like
But I agree. But I understand that, and I think that the viewers can also, the listeners can understand that from our perspective, is that it's not just the environment, but I understand what today's society is and what the reasoning is for that. But also, I wanted to say that as far as the comparison as arming teachers, it's kind of like the whole thing with the police officers right now. It's the fact that there's already
armed officials.
it's environment, armed people that we don't know, and it's that moment when they snap, And it's who's to say that teacher might have a gun in his holster?
Yeah,
and he has a student that
student access to the gun. Yeah,
yeah. But it's student access to the gun. It's the teachers. I already see in my mind. I already see a complete comparison because teachers, like police officers, they are rulers of guidance. They are the ones who they own the classroom. They are in charge and they take charge of the classroom. They're pretty much police officers, but in the classroom.
Yeah,
they have that authority.
Yeah, I was gonna,
they're authoritarian.
Elementary schools, because I used to work in there.
Oh my goodness.
In the elementary schools, it's not like high school, and I don't know about middle school, but it's not like high school where the teacher just sits at the desk. Like it's like a living room. Like
literally,
the room is like a living room.
Yeah,
everybody have like
their kids.
The side change every like week and shit. Like it's like their little home, bro.
Literally,
so the teacher have to like literally go everywhere and like do a lot of shit. So how you gonna tell me she's gonna have a holster on her
and she's teaching him how to read
on the teacher?
On,
the weapon would be somewhere, maybe in the room, maybe somewhere in a different room, somewhere where it wouldn't be easily accessible.
I'm glad you say that. My problem is bringing more guns to the shooting. To the whole problem is not gonna be the solution. We need less guns, not more guns.
Well, that's your That's your perception. So
my opinion.
Your opinion.
There's a lot of people who are comfortable around guns, but
you know what, Isaac?
I don't know where I stand on this whole situation.
Because this is a very tough situation.
Yeah, that's why I don't.
I don't want to just shoot down ideas just because it sounds bad.
Let me just say my opinion. When I heard this, I was shocked.
But that's lives you're talking about, though.
Yeah, but Isaac, Isaac, and I'll let you get to your point real quick, Nazi.
Get this right.
I just want to say this, Isaac. I think a majority of America can definitely agree that we have gun control issues. I don't think that it's a point of view thing when it comes to that. There is a majority of Americans, parents and families and individuals that agree that there needs to be gun licensing.
There needs to
control.
Be stricter gun control.
There needs to be stricter gun control. A majority of America does believe that, and I will put my stand for that.
Does anybody else have a opposing opinion, or can argue why there isn't?
Personally,
I don't, really. But I just
or can
want to
see
say
can see why.
Go ahead, Nazi. Yeah.
So when I heard this first that Trump came out with the idea, I was like, what? I was flabbergasted. The reason why that happened was this is like we are running from the problem. The point is America has a gun problem. And instead of solving that, we saying, yo, let's put more guns on the street in our school and let's solve this problem. We literally going to the opposite direction. That's how I was like, what? How is this even a point? Like we're really going to the opposite direction.
Let's live in
the point was to make less guns and prevent guns reaching people easily. We taking guns to the school.
Let's
really.
How about this?
What we doing now?
How about this? Let's go in a world right where the citizens there's just no guns. There's no guns, right?
Don't exist, or guns are illegal.
Guns are illegal, right?
I come from
citizens
a gun
have
where
no guns.
Nobody has guns. My family had guns, but
how about people trafficking guns in the streets? Like, there's still drug cartels. There's still bad
exist,
people
even if it's illegal
in this country.
Yeah.
What if there's gun trafficking that happens?
What do you think
now?
Of the idea
all the bad people are armed with guns, and then all the people that want to defend themselves, it's infinitely harder for them to get guns.
Isaac, here's the thing.
Now that's the dilemma that happens. What then?
Yeah, here's.
We're not saying. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just literally had to answer the question.
Go ahead.
We're not saying, yo, let's take all the guns. Yo, no guns tomorrow. Done. It's not like that. We're saying,
what do you think?
Let's figure out who's getting the guns. Let's make it harder to people with disabilities and like mental problems to get the guns.
And criminals too.
You know what that is? What that means?
Guns
for the government?
Are not bad.
But what does that mean for the government? You're telling the government?
Yeah. How would they do that? Like
more money into gun control. That's what you're telling the government.
Exactly, which is less money to NRA.
And I think that
NRA.
No, I think what you mean. Yeah, I think
that's
NRA.
There should be better.
I think you understand it wrong.
Not more money into gun control. I think it should be like more money into upholding what already exists.
Can I ask y'all something?
I don't even think it's about putting money in.
Because right now,
right
now people with mental disabilities can't. I don't think they can purchase guns. Right?
What does the NRA even do? What are they doing? Besides selling guns and making a profit, what is the point of a national rifle association?
They lobby the whole.
They handle the taxing and the selling of guns.
No, it's just an agency. They don't have.
I
don't
can't
even
even
think
speak
it's
with
a
it. I don't know.
government,
I have zero.
part.
I have zero idea.
It's not government.
No, it's
I think
not.
it's an association. But just think about this: we have an entire association that contributes to politicians that when they run,
Oh no,
they
you're right. You're
contribute
right.
to
It's
everything.
just it's not even an
Billions of
agency. The
dollars.
NRA
Billions
is,
of dollars.
Billions of dollars.
The NRA just
Yeah,
lobbies
they're-
for
they're
gun
just-
control.
Yeah, they
It's
just
not
go
even
back
a
up.
government
Is
thing.
it funded by? It's a
no, not
non-profit
gun control, guns rights.
organization for gun
It's
rights.
a right, literally. Like,
And look
it's
at
a
this:
right movement.
founded in
Holy cow.
1871.
I feel like we're
Like
kind of
Greenpeace.
ganging up on but what's the alternative to this?
but no,
You know, he's
so
presenting ideas on
Right.
how to improve the situation
Right.
because this is a serious issue. Innocent
What do you think, yeah,
children are dying.
Yeah, what do you think should
So-
be done?
So let me say this: because there is an NRA, and because there is an association, they are the ones who are responsible for putting the initiative to making stricter and stronger gun control. We should not be the ones telling them to do this.
We literally
They should
been
be.
saying
They should
that
be the strongest
for the past
ones.
like
They
10
advocate-
minutes, and
they
you guys
advocate
are
for gun
asking
rights.
us,
They
what's the
advocate-
solution? We
Yeah.
need more
Gun control.
What's
But the
problem
point
with
is,
that getting to
how?
better,
How? What's
strong,
the how
gun,
though? Like
gun
wh-
rights?
They
Like,
should be
why
the
is- Why,
ones.
no, why isn't that being done right now?
because
Okay.
the NRA is not
let-
cooperating.
Again,
Why aren't they cooperating?
Because they want money.
money. What do you mean?
Because the
Hold
more
on, hold on.
It's
hold
all
on, hold on,
about
hold
money.
on, hold
More
on.
guns, more
We've-
money.
We've backtracked. Okay, so you want stricter
I
gun
thought we were
control.
on the
So
same
your- wait,
page.
so your thought process is they don't want to put more restrictions on guns because that's going to prevent people
flow
from
of money.
purchasing more guns, meaning less money for their
Absolutely.
pockets.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I thought that,
And let me tell you this, Sium, and it's a very intricate process because when it comes to guns, you have to think about it like this: who are the people?
But
the
the
certain
NRA
people
is
that buy guns.
non-profit, so how they are
lobbies
they?
That's a
brought
lie.
money.
That's a lie.
Lobbies.
They are not a nonprofit. There's no
I
way.
mean, it literally says non-profit.
It's a non-profit
In
organization.
a technical
but they get
technical
donations.
terms,
You know what?
yeah.
I'm-
In a
Exactly.
technical
From
I'm
gun
terms.
just gonna
makers
go
and
out.
all
I'm just
that.
gonna go out and say this. I'm extremely ignorant to the fact. I don't know anything about NRA,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so like I'm just
I don't know shit.
I'm just
either.
talking based out of ignorance. But you mentioned that you want stricter gun control, right?
Yes, sir.
So what are some practical ways that you think you can get that? Like, what do you want? Do you want
Okay.
more screening of people that are mentally ill?
can
okay,
talk about
let
that.
me
You
let
want-
me okay. Let me put it
Do
this
you want
way.
states like Texas to comply more
Okay.
with that?
I'm glad you asked me that. 2 days ago, I don't know if it's on IG or Facebook because I don't get on Facebook, but I think it's on IG. No, I think it's on YouTube. But I saw a video that this guy from South Carolina, he was trying to demonstrate how easy it was to buy a gun. So this nigga got on a, I think I put it on my Snap. I don't think so. But this nigga got on Facebook. He joined a group, and there was listings of AR-14s.
Literally.
So let me finish. So this nigga contacted multiple peoples and found this nigga desperate for cash. So he actually lowballed the guy. That's how easy it was. So he made him out of church, behind the church, bro. How ironic. Gave him the cash, got the gun, nothing happened, disappeared.
It's even easier than that.
That's
That's
how
not. That's
it's
not
even easier
legally
than
though.
that.
To
Listen,
get a
listen,
gun.
listen,
it's even
listen.
easier than
I
that.
literally
It's weed.
had
It's like
to-
weed. Literally.
Listen, but that's not
how
a
do you
legal
prevent
way.
that?
That's not a legal way to get
Literally.
the gun.
It's as easy to get just like
No,
weed.
but
We're
like,
s-
how
we're
does
talking
gun
about legal ways to
regulation
purchase
prevent that?
guns.
Because that was an interaction between not a seller and a buyer. Those are just two individuals. That wasn't a gun store.
Yeah,
or
that was an
something like
illegal
that.
purchase of the gun.
Yeah, that's
unless
like,
he had
we
like.
can't stop that. That's
But
just
let me
people
let me
being
say something though. Let me say something to that
I'm
point.
saying,
Is whether they obtain it legally or illegally, the result is still the same. If that person chooses to do an action,
Well, that's what I'm
that-
saying. Well, what do you think?
what
we
are some
should be
legal
done?
ways, Nati, that we can accomplish stricter gun control? What are
we-
some objective ideas?
because
should-
you bringing that up implies that somehow are you saying that guns are so rampant in this country that it's that easy? Like you can just get it off a person, or
I'm
Not even the
saying-
country, the
I'm
world.
saying I should not get up right now, walk outside, and buy a gun by
Off
tomorrow.
a random person.
Somebody
Yeah.
should stop me and ask me. I don't think you should
Absolutely.
get a gun.
I don't think-
we have to make sure you are able to operate a gun safely. Somebody should ask
Listen,
me that.
I
I
think
should not go to a
A
shooting
random
range
person.
most people.
and shoot a gun that I don't even have a
License
fucking
for.
experience.
Yeah, experience.
I
It
mo-
should
I,
never be that easy.
I think people on this table agree with you when you say that. But the question that we pose is how do what
Like,
what
would you
steps
do?
should
What
be
be
taken
done, right?
in
Because
order
if-
for
if
things
you-
like
what
that?
You're, what
shouldn't
you're saying is like this is
I'm
very
saying we
ignorant,
need
but, like,
more
if you don't
laws.
know, if you don't
do,
know, it's
do we put
But-
like little trackers
no,
on
no.
each gun or
Okay.
something?
But hey,
No,
no, that's a
exactly.
good point.
To work.
That is a good point.
That already
I would do
exists.
that.
There's serial codes
Serial.
for guns.
But let me
No,
say
like
this.
that are
electronic-
registered.
No.
But let me say
GPS
this.
tracker.
Only track to like program to only one shooter. So
You
As
can't
long
do
as
that.
somebody's not holding it.
You know what? It's crazy that you mentioned that. Okay, look. So there's this tech thing there's this tech development in guns, right? That have grips that
Scans your.
that scans your fingerprint. That also this scans a multitude of things like your fingerprint to determine, okay, you're the owner of the gun, you have access to that gun. So
We got
if
the,
someone
those
like you,
technologies too.
yeah, if someone like you if someone like you isn't registered under that gun,
Yep.
you can't physically, even if you pull the trigger, a bullet won't come out.
Why
So
is that
it's
being
tailor-made.
implemented?
Here's why. I think it's more
Takes more money.
expensive.
That's
of
a
course.
lot of money, and I don't think that's
And
even
it's harder.
the right way.
The
of doing
NRA
things.
will ever.
No, I think
never
that is the right way.
We'll never do
Here's
that.
The
thing,
government
here's
is
the
not
thing.
making it mandatory to
Never.
imply that loss because it's been lobbied by
money.
the NRA.
And here's the thing.
I agree with you when you say that.
Yeah, excluding illegal weapon use, excluding that, right? So we're just looking at legal use.
Nobody can
control
the
that.
black
It's already
market
out there. It's
that
out there.
exists
Yeah.
all over the world.
That's
Nobody can-
what we're saying.
People will also think that even if you had stricter gun control and you're able to, get less guns into America, the black market will just increase
Yeah.
because there's still people going to want demand. Like you
I'm
ever learn
saying
economics?
One problem at a time, and after that, we will move on to cracking down on the black
Yeah,
market.
But I'm saying, like,
you
that
have- you
problem
also
will
have to make
arise.
the right move.
Look, in
because if you make
economics,
the wrong move, you might.
that's death of
like,
citizens. That's death of people.
Yeah.
That's this is lives on hand.
Like
so
if you can't just say, well, we'll worry
Let's
about
just-
that
let's just do
after
gun
we take
control
the
and then we'll
first
worry
step.
about it
And
after
that
the
first
fact.
step might create more problems.
so
That
here's the
is
thing.
true. Go
Look,
ahead.
in
You have to make the
economics,
right first step.
Hold on, not to let him.
I'm not understanding what
Yeah,
you guys
let me
saying.
get
I'm
you.
saying
Let him
what he's
explain.
saying.
Let him explain.
in economics, right? You learn in economics whenever government intervenes in something, like puts a price ceiling, price floor, the black market for that thing increases, right? So if the government wants to have less guns in America, what happens is the black market for those guns increase. Illegal buy and sell of guns increase. So if you say, okay, well, let's just go ahead and clean the streets, take the guns out of America, and then once the black market increases and that happens, we'll worry about it then. Well, in that process of you worrying about then, people die. Like there's things that happen, that there's bad things that arise from that decision making. That's why you should worry about every aspect of the decision in a timely manner, then make that decision.
I'm saying what I just said is the only. I can't say the only, but that's what I see right now. Like that's the only option that comes to me right now. Because arming the t-shirts is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, that's why it's such a controversial topic, and that's why it's such a heavy topic for people to even talk about, because it's very complex. Like in United Nations debates, this topic is such a complex topic to
It should
to
not
tackle.
even be.
And we're not the only nation in the world that suffers from this. We are one of the
Because
ones
if
that have
this
a lot
was-
of deaths, but we're not the only country in the world
Yeah,
that
and if
suffers.
I
this
don't
was
think
like a
nobody
very-
comes close to
That's
how it's
true.
going on in
It's
America.
true. That's true. But I'm just saying that gun
Yeah.
control is something that
And
everybody
one
suffers
thing
with.
I'm thinking is the second in this country, the First Amendment is free speech. Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. And it's funny.
it is.
It's
And these amendments, when were they made too? Go
way
ahead.
behind. And it's
crazy.
interesting because these amendments, the people who made the First and Second Amendment, their experience, what they just came from was a nation,
A war.
a government that
Was not stable.
they just separated from their original government and just found a new home.
There was a new
So their thought process with the Second Amendment, if you actually read the Second Amendment, I wish we could pull it up, but is the right to bear arms in order to form a militia or something, but
Sure.
to
So
oppose the
basically-
government if the ever
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
government
and that's supposed to
ever
oppose
steps
a
out of
government.
line.
Listen.
Imagine how violent that is. That's so
a
violent.
Huge, that's a huge argument that pro-gun activists or people that want more guns or want to keep gun rights. That's a huge argument that they
Yeah.
bring up is government tyranny.
Sure.
So they want automatic assault rifles because what happens if, in the event of a government collapse or in the event of something bad in the government happening,
Maybe
they want
Libya,
citizens
Egypt.
to have the power to arm themselves, right?
That's
So
crazy.
when people of office become corrupt or when the government becomes corrupt, they want to have citizens have guns so they can protect themselves.
That's crazy to
arm
think
themselves.
about. We have a we're supposed to have democracy. It's not a
Yeah,
dictatorship.
but you know, there's the government trust
I
is
understand.
horrible. It's at all time low. You don't even trust police
police,
officers. You just
yeah.
mentioned that
Sure.
you know police
I hear
officers
you.
are viewed in such a negative
I
light.
hear you.
So when you're in a traffic stop, right? When someone stops your car, and that person that stops your car has a gun, and you feel
Yeah.
unsafe with them, and
Sure.
you associate all these negative associations with them. Wouldn't you like the ability to
reject that?
to arm
Absolutely.
yourself?
But
to
let me
protect
say this,
yourself?
Isaac. Let me say this. That law was made, like Sium just pointed out, forever ago. And that was made from that time with the mindset of, okay, we have just built a new government.
Yeah,
We're going to have a president.
That
But I'm just saying,
change and
I'm just saying, all I'm trying to say is that between now and then, like, that's a huge gap of time and a huge change of technology, modern thinking, modern everything, just modern living. There's a lot of changes. So to come and say that there would be a group of people with the president, with the system we have, I am almost 100% certain that the majority of Americans would never, ever form a militia at this day and age to try and get the president over. But I will say there was a family recently, in the past few years, who actually attempted to do, like, they had a little militia. It was like at a farm or something like that. But it's not the same.
People that took over the building,
it was something like that.
Establishing a militia is not a new thing. People still do
not.
that.
Yeah, there's still
but they
militias.
don't uprise against the government.
The thought that came to them to establish that amendment was because they had just founded something after a war.
Yeah,
It's
and
not-
And
it's
also,
not-
like back then, it seems a little plausible where if the citizens are armed, they can oppose the government. But at this day and age, with technology, where the government can literally, I don't doubt for 1 second that if the government really wanted to, if they thought I had some bomb that was gonna kill thousands of people, that they could access my laptop's camera that's right in front of me without me noticing a thing. So I don't think
Not me though, nigga.
tape on his camera.
Covered, bro.
What about the mic?
Stay
though?
out,
What
bro.
about
Yeah,
the mic,
the
though?
mic could be
president
accessed
of
easily,
NSA,
bro.
President of NSA actually
Yeah.
said, like, cover up your
Yeah.
camera.
But-
Let's not
so
dwell on this
I don't
topic,
think.
though.
I don't think that
Yeah, that's true. I
the
got a
people
lot
can
of
fight
shit to
over
talk
against
about.
the government the
so-
same way they could back then.
Yeah,
Like I
so-
think the government's completely. If
Alright.
they could go about their way, they could do whatever they want regardless of.
So
the
basically,
citizens.
everybody
So
get
yeah,
a trap
so to
phone,
conclude-
and everybody.
To conclude this topic is, there's a lot of people that are pro guns. There's a lot of people that are anti guns. Some of the arguments are made as government tyranny, government's power now in society. People would like the ability to arm themselves. People believe that arming themselves would decrease criminals because now everybody has a gun. So if you have a gun and you try to commit a crime, well, people can take the caution take the benefit of protecting themselves. Other people believe that more guns cause more problems. It can increase shootings because now people have
But what's the
easy
conclusion?
access to a ready weapon. Everybody has stated their opinion on this. Everybody stated their point of view on this. Right?
What's
You
the
stated it.
consensus though?
Yeah, let's
do
do
the
Because, Mike,
consensus.
the consensus for me.
I don't think
at
there is
least,
a consensus. I don't know where I stand
Stronger
on
I
this.
think we can
control.
like
There's no
really
resolution.
come to a
Stronger gun
conclusion
restrictions.
in this podcast because this shit is really
It's
complicated.
deep, it's complex.
and
Yeah.
there's a lot of moving things.
Yeah, I'll tell you my stance on
I
this. My
advocate
stance is
for
I don't
stronger
know.
gun
I feel-
restrictions.
Here's my stance. Siom said you advocate for stronger gun restrictions.
Yeah.
My stance
Put
is
more
I
money
feel
into the screening. Pay the gun stores just a little bit extra to incentivize them to take that extra measure to make sure that they're not selling to the inappropriate person.
No,
Okay.
it's not. No.
Where do you-
we don't
where do
need
you
to
stand
pay
on
them.
this?
We need to implement the law. It's not like, yo, we guys are gonna pay you to do this. No, this is a law.
okay.
But
Let's
So you-
implement the laws and let's make new laws.
So you also advocate for stronger gun
Yeah,
restrictions.
but I'm not saying let's go pay these people. Let's just say
Okay.
let's
You just
implement the
you
law.
want
It's
a
not
law.
like, yo, do us a favor. No,
But you
as
say
a
law,
society,
but what
we have
law?
decided.
Like, what's the law that you're trying to
He
you
said
say what?
he said
the
that he
thing
wants
just literally say.
yeah he
put
wants gun
more-
shops to have more more screening before.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we like really going in circle.
But
that's what I'm. That's
he
what I
mentioned
said.
a money incentive.
why
You
could-
mentioned actual political
I'm saying
incentive.
it should not be like yo, do us a favor or guns. Businesses are gonna get paid from the government. No, as a society, our government and the people has decided to implement this law, and you guys are gonna do it.
Yeah, where's your stance on this, Nahom? I know you want stricter gun restriction as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just like you guys had mentioned, it's sad. It's really horrific. But at the end of the day, we've got to do something. We've got to look back at our past. We've got to establish that this is a new society, and that we just got to do something to protect people.
Yeah, so I mean, well, here's my stance on it. I obviously believe that there needs to be a change. There needs to be something that needs to come about because this is just such a bad moment in society, and I don't know where I stand on this. I just feel too ignorant on the topic to
Mhm.
actually really actually give an opinion of what I should do. I think what I should do is probably educate myself more on the topic and
Us
then
too.
come to a
Me too.
consensus. I feel
Absolutely.
too ignorant on the topic. Now, what's the next topic of the agenda?
I want to bring up something. This might sound stupid because it really defeat the purpose. But so Kylie,
Oh my god.
really, I
All right,
want
let's
to bring
switch it
that
up.
out.
Hold up. Okay.
So the whole point is, why are we giving the Kardashian family this much power?
What do you
So
mean?
let me tell you what happened
Have you
this
seen who
weekend.
they with?
Hold up. So this is really some serious shit. It's not about like some reality shit. So Kylie posted 3 Twitter things on Twitter, 3 posts on Twitter. That caused Twitter, Snapchat to lose $1.3 billion in stock.
Crazy.
Yep.
I mean, this is not unheard of though. Celebrities have talked about companies and the stock has plummeted. Negative things about
That
companies.
makes sense, but
Paris
who?
Hilton,
I'm saying who's
Hilton Hotels.
Kylie to cause this? Why are we?
It's not
giving,
Kylie. It's her followers. Yeah.
but
So what happened? They
This
just,
started
like-
from her. So
Did they just like get rid
Yeah,
of
no,
their
yeah, I
Snapchats,
agree with
or-
you.
Okay,
Kylie
let me
has
tell-
an
okay,
incredible
let me
amount of
let me
power.
read
Tell
what
them.
let me read what she said.
Give the context.
She posted. So does anyone else not open Snapchat anymore, or is it just me?
Oh, 'cause the new.
This is so bad. And she continued with, "It's to love you though, Snap, my first love." And she continued with, "I kind of agree." Crying emoji.
Do you
That caused
It's 'cause of
You
the
think it
new.
was Kylie? Here.
$1.3 billion
Here's what I'm confused about. Like,
dollar in loss in
Yeah,
stock
I
revenue.
I don't think it
The
was just
stock
her though.
plummeted.
It wasn't just
here's,
her.
Here's what I think. I think it's a combination of things. So
Yeah.
Snapchat rolled out its new update.
New update. Yeah.
A
Oh
lot
my
of people
god.
were already talking negative about that.
Yeah.
Then Kylie kind of puts the final nail in the
Hell,
coffin.
yeah,
I think it was like a multitude of things that kind of just like lets that perfect storm of like
Yeah.
the stock dropping.
I
But
hated
still,
it too.
It shows just
The
how
fact
powerful.
that she initiated
the fact
this
that,
is just
the fact
Oh
that
yeah.
she
Do you know
caused
how many
this to
little
be
girls
such
like
a-
people follow Kylie Jenner?
Yeah.
exactly.
Like
So
these
my
girls
question-
idolize her, man.
Yeah.
My question when I started with, why are we giving this family this much power?
Well, I think if we look at it from there, we kind of have to go back and see, where the root of
Their
celebritism.
reality. Well, I
made
mean,
up
their
the term in
celebrity started
Yeah,
off in
man.
the reality show. It's just so
Absolutely.
addictive now, and they've become kind of just like these
It's like
cultural
some
icons.
royal family.
You think it's dying?
Yeah, they
out?
call them
About
the
billions
equivalent.
now.
They're the equivalent
Yeah.
to like the
Billions.
prince
You
of
think-
Prince and Princess
her-
in England. Yeah.
Her clothing, her little lipstick
Yeah.
line
Exactly.
is worth ridiculous amount of money. They have a clothing store called Dash.
Yeah, I
They got
remember.
the whole connection with the
Kylie
Yeezy
is now
season.
the highest.
Oh, she makes the most out of them. I thought
Yeah.
Kim
From the family.
from Kim
More
too.
than Kim? No, nigga, been gone.
Kim Kardashian. is
No,
like-
Yeah.
bro, that ass,
Actually,
my
you're right.
nigga.
No, I
Kylie.
believe that.
She used to
has
be the
that shit,
businesswoman
bro.
of the family.
She got a baby, bro. That's the new shit with Travis, bro. White America
Nah, the baby
loves
about
that shit.
the baby about to make money now,
Mainstream
too.
Love that shit. Bro.
I thought Kris
Exactly.
Jenner.
Yeah.
Oh, was it Travis Scott? I thought it was Tyga.
Nah,
Nah,
man, he's
Travis.
trying. He's been
He's
trying to
get
claim
a-
that.
trying to
shit.
get a DNA.
That nigga stupid, bro.
He's trying to get a DNA.
That nigga really stupid, bro. How you gonna raise her from middle school until she fucking
I'm
dead ass,
done.
bro?
I'm
and
done.
get
Wasn't
her ready
middle
and
school.
give it
God.
to another nigga.
Hold on,
bro.
hold on. I wasn't middle school.
Raise her
Wasn't
from-
middle
I'm just, I'm trying to
This
like
was
push it
upper
so
high school,
so I can make
it's
my
alleged.
point, bro.
Sat at the
I know,
lunch
but-
table. Sat at the lunch
Exactly,
table and
bro, yo.
everything.
I'm gonna come pick you up today.
Made the
We're gonna
lunch.
go ask you some pervert shit,
Now,
bro.
now I see why
What
you call
the
yourself.
fuck, my
now,
nigga?
now I see why you're labeled as mysterious because
I'm
you don't
just-
want
bro,
any of
that's
what you
just
say
crazy,
associated
bro.
with you. He's like,
It's just crazy, bro. I just like, what the fuck?
yo, when I
That's-
read
that's
that,
a big L right
no,
there.
I'm not
bro.
gonna lie. When I read that, I was like, "Are you serious right now?" Like that
Honestly.
one tweet was able to destroy
But
an
can I-
entire industry. Now I see why
Yeah.
like actual companies are so cautious
Oh,
and they're so
yes,
politically
But
cautious.
hey,
who put
that's-
on you?
let me say this.
That matters,
Like
bro.
H&M with the
Oh.
whole,
They
coolest
closed a
monkey
lot
in the
of
yard.
stores,
They lost a
bro.
lot of money because of that,
lot,
bro.
bro.
You know, you saw how
80%
big the
sales.
sales were? Bro, they
80%,
gave
bro.
off some ridiculous
Crazy.
discounts. Like I saw
know.
Mike come into I saw one of my
For
friends.
real, though,
sorry,
that was real. They
you-
gave discounts,
Bro, I saw one of my
Yeah.
friends
That's
come in.
80%,
Yo, I did not know. I
80%
thought it was a
discount.
joke, bro.
No,
Sale, bro.
80%, bro.
80% sale. Bro.
Damn.
Yeah, it was wild.
You think-
that was a joke on IG,
Nah,
bro?
You think
man.
with that kind of discount people are boycotting? Boy, they're gonna say they're
outta
boycotting.
here. Niggas who
I-
buy that
hey.
same shirt, bro.
Hey, yo.
Cutest whatever
Oh, yeah.
jungle,
Hey, yo,
whatever that
I ain't
shit
heard
is,
of I ain't heard
bro.
of boycott
That
since.
Same shirt, bro.
I ain't heard a boycott since though. Ain't no more
Like,
boycotts on that
yo,
shit.
forget this H&M stuff though. You trying to
Hey.
drive me to the mall real quick though? I'm trying to pick up
Hey.
some things.
Really,
we
bro,
got a
niggas
discount
just
right now.
saying-
Really, forget the lunch money. But yo, I think that it's important that this brings a very important point to how celebrities and how like sponsorships, and that's why they have so many sponsors, like athletes, whoever they are, just pose such an intense
Bro, it's
representation.
crazy. Did
Yeah.
you see? You know Steph Curry, right? You ever
Oh,
seen?
man.
Do you see what happened with him in Under Armour?
Oh man.
What happened?
Oh man,
So-
not again.
So Steph Curry was supposed to have this deal with Nike, right? But because they got like his name wrong or something,
Oh my,
he switched to Under Armour.
went to the-
Literally saved the entire
Exactly,
industry, bro.
But you know what?
Under Armour has Tom Brady. They got
Yes,
Steph
Yeah.
Curry, and they got like one other person that literally saved their entire
Yeah,
company.
bro.
But
Yeah.
now Under Armour is in competition with
Literally.
Nike.
But
They
you
got
know
the
what?
Nike
They
You know
had
what?
Kevin Durant's
You know,
name
Nike-
on the
Nike-
presentation,
Yeah,
bro.
you know the owner of Under Armour sends a letter to Nike every single Christmas that says something like, remember us. We're in competition now. Even when they're nothing.
Let's
even when
not
they're
let's
nothing.
not get it fucked
So
up.
I
though.
love CEOs,
Under
bro.
Armour is like
CEO.
valued
They're
at
pretty,
$6 billion or some shit.
Yeah, Nike's
Nike's
Nike's still all the way
Way
international.
Up, bro. Let's not get
See,
it fucked
are there
up,
any
bro.
like famous wrestlers or MMA fighters that are represented?
Barely.
Sponsored
Yeah,
by
there's
Nike or
one
anything?
called Jordan Burrow, and
I think
his,
Reebok got the
John
whole
Jones was
UFC
about to get a
shit.
Nike sponsorship, boy. John Jones was about to get a
I'm
Nike
glad y'all brought that up.
Nike sponsors Jordan Burrow.
Drake is
Oh,
in
Jordan
talks
Borrow.
with
Hey.
Adidas too to move from.
You're
exactly,
kidding.
bro.
He's Mr. Jumpman though.
Yes,
He's
bro.
Jumpman.
Exactly,
Jumpman,
my
Jumpman.
nigga.
Jumpman. Yeah.
He about
I know
to get-
Adidas is
he
about to get
that
some money, boy.
lifetime deal, bro.
Bro, you know what they do
Damn.
sometimes is like these big corporations
Exactly,
not
bro.
only give them money, they give them ownership and they put them as like creative director.
Hey, yo.
Like
You know-
they're like, all right, our company's thinking.
Hey, yo, real
have
quick.
half the company.
Real quick, we gotta shout out our Habesha brother Nipsey Hussle, who just
Yo,
released the
y'all got
album.
the album, though?
Listen,
I heard that shit,
listen.
bro. That shit was lit,
My boy is out here getting a Puma deal,
Yes,
and is
bro.
getting out all
I
these
did
shoe
not
deals.
know this
Here's
nigga was killing
Habesha.
like this.
Hey,
Here's
yo.
what I love about
Hey, yo,
Nipsey
government
is not
name.
music, bro.
What?
Nipsey
Ermias.
is not music.
Nipsey's
He's a
like,
businessman,
exactly,
bro.
Hey,
bro.
You know he has a Fat Burger chain?
Yes,
a chain
my
of
nigga,
that?
a
A
fucking-
franchise?
He has a business
fucking
clothing, bro.
clothing store,
Yeah,
my
bro.
nigga.
You saw that interview?
Come on,
Ermias, bro. Ermias out here, government name,
This
nigga.
man does
God,
this
bro.
man does partnerships with Fat Burger, bro. He has like he owns
Shit
chains,
crazy, my
franchises
nigga.
of Fat Burger.
And
Real
the new
estate
deal
ownership.
with his record company is saying it's actually
Yeah.
like
And he's
Bro.
hip. He's
You
such
know,
a businessman.
This
yo.
is when I love Nipsey Hussle. This is like years and years
Oh
and
yeah,
years
man.
ago,
The
right?
mixtapes.
He mentioned he was doing an interview and he
he
mentioned
was independent the whole time.
Yeah.
By the way,
Hell
he was like in sitting tables. Whenever I talk to people, I don't look at money. This is before he even had a lot of money. He's like, I don't care about money. The only thing I care about is ownership, equity. I was like,
Absolutely, yo.
Exactly.
all right,
Very
That's all
business minded,
matters.
I
bro.
don't know who this music guy is, but I hope he
Crazy,
blows
bro.
up,
Yo.
and I hope he does. Really
I don't know if you guys checked out the
All of a
Breakfast
sudden,
Club
you see the
interview.
YG.
That he just was on the Breakfast
Oh,
Club.
yeah,
and
that
the
was
things
revolutionary.
everywhere. He's doing
Yo.
Yeah, he just did
check
Breakfast
that
Club.
out.
Did you,
Yeah.
did you watch that?
Oh,
Oh,
man, the
man,
things that
that
he was
was
saying.
Oh yeah, I watched that shit, bro.
Yo, that
The
was so
intelligence,
good.
man.
The
The business mind that he
It's like
has.
Jay Z. It's like seeing Jay Z.
Very.
Almost,
And you
man.
know, I think it's very important to note that a lot of the things that he was saying was that he got advice from big people like
Like the
Jay.
whole blood
Yeah.
crew and
All
shit.
of them.
He's like deep in that.
And
shit.
he's
Oh,
in
yeah,
that
he's
too,
deep.
but he's smart because he asks questions. You got to learn from the people who
The
came
OG,
before
bro.
you. That's
Honestly,
what's
like,
important.
Nip and YG were
Oh,
able to
man.
like unify like the
YG,
whole tension
oh,
with the
man.
Rolling 60s and the Bloods. Like I was like, whoa.
He said, Nipsey said,
like, yo, Nipsey's like
Yeah.
really in talks to like
He can
some
go
street
anywhere.
How
people
old is
He can go
about,
anywhere,
like,
yo.
unification.
He's
Like,
like 32.
30.
Yeah.
you saw his music
30.
video, right?
32.
Yeah,
Hey.
Yeah, 32. You saw his music video, right?
Yes, with the one
Yo.
that they robbed a
And
bank
they
and
had
shit.
all, and like everybody from like all the different
Exactly.
gangs. I was
And
like,
when the police turn around, it's like a bunch of niggas
that's
behind
so
him.
prolific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he said, I'm a LA nigga.
Bro, this guy, I'm telling you, bro, if he keeps on this route, like he has the power to be
Exactly.
like a next
So
Kendrick,
Kendrick Lamar
yeah,
type
on
of
some
shit,
Jay
bro,
Z
for
stuff.
real.
But
Yeah,
the
he's already
difference
almost
between him
there.
and Kendrick is like Nip is a lot more business savvy.
Yes.
Like
And
I don't mean to
some
disrespect
involved was like
Nip
the
is
street
with
very
the,
shit.
yeah, and Kendrick is though. Kendrick is
Gang
really
bang shit, bro.
Kendrick is on that gangbang shit, but he's
Nah,
not.
Kendrick is like the nerd that was
Blood.
the
No, he's with Bloods, bro.
Bruh,
Like, he's
nah,
out.
have you heard his music, bro? You
Nip,
tripping, my
Nip is the
nigga?
one. Nip.
It's tripping,
Nah,
bro.
nah,
Nip?
nah, nah.
No,
Nip,
I'm not saying in
bro.
comparison. I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
like
yeah.
K-Dog
Kendrick.
always been that nerd nigga who's around like blood niggas. Nipsey Hussle's like, yo,
With
Oh, no,
respect.
Nipsey is
Hey, yo,
actually
yo.
in it.
With
What the
respect,
fuck?
though, we got to put with
Yes,
respect.
right.
was
With
on
respect.
K-Dog?
With K-Dog.
Hell
Yeah, with
yeah,
respect.
bro.
Yeah,
What
with
the
respect.
fuck? That's why
Just
we
got to put
get
that
it.
out there.
we gotta say that nigga
Yeah, with
nerd. That's why
respect.
we getting this type of
Yeah.
deep music, bro.
Yeah.
I love seeing people in in music, right, that are able to branch off and able to transition into business. Because now this is like, this is like black-owned businesses, bro. Like he has a Fat Burger franchise.
But I'll say
he has
this:
a successful clothing line. He's in talks with like
Rick Ross doing his thing.
I'm afraid. Yeah, Rick Ross got the with the wings.
Or some shit.
But let me tell y'all this:
he's got the wings too.
I was afraid.
Wingstop.
I was afraid for Nip though. I was afraid because I felt like Nip was getting stuck. And he was stuck in the cut because a lot of people don't get to see him.
A lot of people make that common misconception of Nip. It's like when he's quiet, people think that he's gone. Like, no, he's doing
like
business.
What Drake said, bro.
Yeah. What would he say?
I've been gone since like July.
Oh yeah.
Niggas thought I died, nigga. What's up, bro? What y'all think about the video?
Drake,
though?
And they said the
Drake
album
has been saying that all the time. I've been gone for surgery. Now I'm back again. Drake has always been like,
hey, y'all know Nip. They said Nip's album is expected to break the top 10 on Billboard.
For real?
My nigga, I was happy about that, bro.
I love Nip, but I
it's
don't
on
know,
there,
bro.
man. It's as they posted the article based on sales.
He sell, bro.
Based on sales.
He sell 200,000, bro.
How much did he price it though?
Oh, he had $100 CDs, right? Remember?
Yeah. He did 100.
Yes,
he did,
bro. That nigga's smart,
you know how Jay-Z bought like
100 copies of his mixtape.
100,000.
No, I think he said 100 copies.
100,000 like a million, bro.
100.
What you talking about? A million on that? No, bro.
He bought 100 copies of the
but I think
48,000 copies sold in the first week.
48? That's not bad.
No, that's not.
How many he sell?
48. How many?
No, but listen, look.
28 with 20,000.
I thought he priced that at 1,000.
Hey yo.
Oh yeah.
But those are those are 25,000 are pure sales.
Hey, you see,
and
that's
40,
how you know people really showed out.
Fuck with you.
Is that normal
no
though?
fuck-
Like
Nah,
how much
man.
is? I know that first week sales like
that's a
Drake and
lot.
some other top.
No,
like,
Drake is like
Nah.
the view.
That's millions. That's
views
another.
was
That's another.
millions,
Yeah.
And More Life was like 500,000.
But let me say this though.
Okay, that was like
Unless
6,000.
Unless you're like the top 5 artists that are out right now, you're gonna be making less than 100,000 sales in a week. And for where he is in his rap career and status,
yeah, but look at YG. YG's getting crazy sales.
That's
with
different.
I ain't gonna
That's
different.
So I mean, YG
is
and
YG.
Nip are on the same. Bro.
No,
No, they're not.
Bro,
Don't get
they used to be
fucked
on the same,
Don't
bro.
get it fucked
No,
up.
the
bro.
type of music they make is
I'm talking
different.
about when YG
Hold on.
was early
YG.
Nip and YG collabs. Remember how, dude, Nip was making more than YG at one point.
You know this is Nip's debut
Nip is
album,
independent.
right? It is, right?
Yeah.
This is debut.
Exactly.
No, it
But
is.
look, listen, Nip was
It is.
independent, right? Nip was
Yeah.
independent. YG was signed to the label. When YG and Nip when they start early on, Nip was making more money, bro.
Hey, y'all know why
He's
YG
making
got
more
lit
money.
though.
You
Hey,
know YG got
They were
two.
like similar.
listen.
two
Y'all know YG got
classic
lit, right?
albums,
Oh yeah, now
No,
it's
listen,
now
listen.
Now it's
Listen.
over, bro. Now, that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of disappointed
Hey,
in
yo.
Nip's like music
man.
progression.
Y'all forgot the
And a new
cosign.
album coming out too, bro. Stay on it.
Y'all forgot the cosign.
I'm kind of disappointed in Nip's like progression.
Please
though.
don't say DJ
That's what I'm saying.
Mustard, bro.
Nah.
That fat ass. Nigga,
No,
bro.
hey,
I hate that nigga.
listen,
bro.
he ran music though. Hey, give credit to that nigga.
Right,
DJ
this
Mustard ran
nigga-
2013,
this-
2014.
bruh, this
Them
nigga
them beats killed
needs
everything,
to stop
bro.
being on IG, bro. This nigga's stupid on IG, bro.
He needs to get back with his
Mad
artist.
stupid, bro.
But here's the thing about. Let me tell you about YG. Hey, guess who co-signed on YG's that big YG album? Who do you love? Whenever the D name comes on a track, your career gets up. Drake, boy, Dr. Drake,
Bro?
Dr. Drake. Who do you love? Remember who do you love? Yeah. Listen, y'all got.
Yo, people
gotta not
forget that
forget,
Dr.
man.
Dre's a billionaire now, dog.
Really, bro. With
Yo.
that Beats deal with
Yo,
Apple.
I'm still
Listen.
my mind is
That's
still
black-owned,
blown
bro.
away.
When names
bro.
are co-signed,
This is a billion.
when names are co-signed
we
with an
gotta,
artist,
we gotta give a
man.
wrap up. We gotta give final
Yeah,
thoughts.
yeah.
We gotta like.
We gotta wrap it up. Final
Yeah.
thoughts.
Hey,
It was a
Oh,
good
no.
episode,
Big up.
though, for real.
big up to Big Nip. You know, big up to any artist right now trying to do what they do, building businesses. Be smart. Shout out to me.
We went
You on the grind too, bro.
Shout
Let
out
them
to
know.
me. Yeah,
we went
we
from
new
gun
music
control
coming
to
out,
Kylie
bro.
Jenner.
Habasha
Yo,
game
is
over
it-
here.
Yo, let's talk about you, bro. Any new music coming out? Or
Just
a project you working on? Or
stay
something
tuned,
like
man. Still in the studio. Just check me out.
Wait for you.
Check me out on the IG under Nahom Run, like home run. You know what I'm saying? I'm knocking them out. And I also got a SoundCloud that's got a link on there. So NAHOMERUN. Check me out.
all this bitches send him some pussy pictures.
You already know. DM
All right,
popping.
you guys,
Yeah.
DM's popping.
you guys can find me on youtube.com/AquaBlack. That's youtube.com/AQABLACK. Follow me on Instagram, MJ_slam. And
che-
check me out on my
check
podcast.
check out the new Aqua Black podcast coming up.
Yeah,
you might
Nahom
see
guest
us,
stars.
a familiar guest appearance.
Yeah.
We were talking
and
about
please don't
MMA.
check for me. Just stop. Don't try.
At the ugly
Just
nigga.
go on YouTube if you want to see. If you want to see
At
more of
the
the
ugly
mysterious
nigga.
man, go on YouTube and type in Somali, funny Somali rapper Vine,
What the fuck?
and you'll laugh your head off.
Well, thank y'all for having me too, though.
That shit, bro. That's dumb, bro.
You saw that? You saw it? You saw
Yes,
it?
bro. I was like, this is wasting my
crying
time,
so
bro.
Well, thank y'all for having me too, man. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah,
for
see him
having
get
me
started on my
too, man.
podcast.
Yo,
Well, we talked about the history of MMA, and then we talked about upcoming fights. Make sure you guys follow R.N.R on all the social media outlets.
Oh yeah, check us out on R&R. R&R podcast on Instagram and R&R underscore R&R podcast on Twitter.
Peace.
And that
we out.
concludes it. Peace. Powerful JRE.
Damn, I guess we're done. Yo, just as a reference, by the way, 500 Kendrick Lamar.